I honestly don't even know where to begin, because it's just, this is possibly one of the worst takes, one of the most insane takes I ever seen come out of the Final Fantasy VII community, and it's just so baffling that there's several people out there who really, and as you can hear, the ambulance is even like surprised by all this. That there's some people in the Final Fantasy VII community that's just like come up with these takes, these goddamn weird take, like Tifa being considered a predator or having predator behavior, which, by the way, no matter how you try to spin that as not like predator behavior, not being a predator, no, it's still not as, it's still, but they're both bad no matter how you put it. But like, what the? You're telling me that Tifa, a character that was written by Nojima and created by Square Enix, the entire team, Kitase, Nomura, and just, you think that the chapter 9 scene where both Cloud and Tifa are having an emotional like discussion about each other's past, about like the inner conflict that Cloud is having, and having this moment of complete vulnerability between each other, and this very emotional scene between them, and you think, just like for 1 second, your brain decided that you saw this as something predatorial, that Tifa was using Cloud during his state of weakness, during his vulnerable state of mind, to try to lean in to kiss him, and like you using this as a way to say that Tifa has predatory habits, that she is doing this out of like some weird idea, some weird take analysis of yours, that she's a predator because of that. And I'm just like, how do you come up with this idea? Well, I can actually give you a pretty good reason why an idea like this was even thought up of, and it's quite simple. I'm not even going to like tiptoe away from it because it's just such a bad take, and there's only one way a take like that can ever be formed. It is if you hate Tifa because of who Tifa is, what her role in the story is, and you think her role, her entire being in the game is essentially overshadowing your favorite character, Aerith, or it is in the way of your favorite ship, whether it be Cloud and Aerith, or even Tifa Aerith, which is bizarre that people who support Tifa Aerith as a ship would say something bad about one half of that ship. I'm not even going to tiptoe around. I'm not going to try to say that it's not every single, just normal Final Fantasy VII fan. It's literally a shipping thing. It's literally the only way in a take like this can ever occur is if you don't like Tifa being involved in the story at all, because you either support Aerith as a character or you want her away. You want to view her as a very terrible character so that you feel justified to say that Cloud and Tifa is not a good ship, but Cloud and Aerith is, because none of that stuff happens with Aerith, because Aerith is an angel. She is this character who doesn't have any sort of like jealousy or like any, is not selfish. She's this pure character that can do no wrong. And to me, it's just like, you gotta be, I really, really, really don't like mischaracterizations of characters. I really fucking do not. It pisses me off more than any sort of shipping war. And the reason why is because you're literally making people's favorite characters look bad, and thus that reflects upon the same people who support that character, who try to view that character through the good things that the character is all about. Like the way Tifa is kind, where she thinks of others before herself, where she is more than willing to help anyone in need. She's the reason why Cloud gets recovered after, the whole thing with Mako poisoning and Zack dying. She finds him at the train station, brings him over to Sector 7 to help him. right? She literally, if you read Trace of Two Paths, you know that because of Tifa, Barrett and Marlene are able to have a place to call home because it was her own kindness that did it. Yet you think that you could disregard all of this. You could disregard all of that, every single thing, and call her predator because you do not like the fact that during the Gongaga scene, they were having two very, very important, emotional moment where they talk about each other's vulnerability, their vulnerable state. You don't like angst. You think angst is very bad for ships when angst can help really bring two characters closer together. It's that emotional value that brings two characters together. Sometimes not even for a shipping moment. Sometimes you just bring two characters together and makes them closer. And if we're calling this moment of vulnerability between two characters where it shows their emotional growth with each other as like predatory, where Tifa is a predator towards Cloud in this situation, then what about a scene like in Final Fantasy X where Tidus is trying to, comfort Yuna in a very vulnerable moment between the two, and he goes in for the kiss? Is that predatory by him? Is that predatory by Titus, however you want me to call his name? I gave up trying to figure out how people like to call his name, but you get my point. It's a similar scene, a moment of vulnerability that connects the characters and makes them, emotionally, grow stronger, makes the emotional bond stronger. And all of a sudden you see a take like this and think, well, then that scene too is the same way. But you're not going to admit that that scene is the same thing because you personally are using that type of logic to shed and slander on a character that you don't like. It doesn't matter if you ship Era to Tifa, if you're an RT, if you're a clever fan who says that you're a Tifa fan. If you say a take like that, you're using it because you disagree with the scene, because you can't discover or find another reason to try to remove that moment, that scene from being a scene that hurts Claudia, hurts Tifa in any sort of way. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing. It's a ridiculous take, and it's so bizarre because you could put it on any other Final Fantasy game that has a similar scene to that, and you would call it the same thing, but you won't, because the main reason you're saying this, as I said before, is because you're using it to slander or hate on another character or a ship or whatever reason, right? It's always used to slander something, whatever big reason you're trying to or whatever it is that you're trying to slander. And one of the worst things about any of this essentially is that it really devalues just so much of not only the story, but just how much care the developers put into these characters. It really does, because you're treating them like they're awful people when the devs have no intention of ever trying to do it that way. It is so bizarre. It is quite an insane take to have, right? It literally, the only way you could ever think of that take is if you are a very hardcore Era fan who is one of the very loud, minorities who want to just shit on Tifa any chance that you can get, or you are a shipper who doesn't want Tifa being involved in your ship. And because you can't use the excuse that the Gongaga scene is optional, like some people use the gold saucer date, you try to come up with any sort of freaking way to try to devalue that moment between Cloud and Tifa because you hate that they got a moment like that. You hate it. That's the only reason why you would ever make that take. It literally, if you ask any, Final Fantasy VII fan who's not even a shipper, who just loves the story itself, and you ask them about that scene, and you tell them that, hey, do you think that Tifa is being, having predatory behaviors during that scene? They'd be like, what? No. What? That's a crazy idea. How? Yes. Cloud is being open to Tifa about his internal conflict, his internal issues. Yes, that is exactly what is happening, right? But Tifa isn't using that conflicting emotions, that vulnerability that he's expressing to her as a way to try and force a kiss on him. No. It's called getting into the moment and almost doing something that you just you do it unconsciously. Like you don't actually like do it on purpose, but it just go with the flow of the scene itself, the flow between the emotions that the two characters are sharing, and it just happens. That's what is occurring here. It's not her trying to force herself on Cloud. That is an insane goddamn take, because she cares about Cloud. She cares about every single one of her friends. She literally tells Cloud that if he ever feels like, he feels like he's having these conflicting issues again, he should go speak with anybody. Not just her, just anybody, whoever he feels comfortable with. It just so happened that Cloud feels comfortable around Tifa. And it's like, oh my goodness. It's like, why are we making such bad takes about this? I'm sorry. If you are a Final Fantasy VII fan, and this is the type of take you create when it's conflicting against something that you enjoy, that you're very passionate about, and that you really want to happen, such as like a shipping reason, or like you want to try to mischaracterize and slander a character, I'm sorry, you are not being a truthful Final Fantasy VII fan. You're just being petty. I'm not. I want to be as neutral as possible with situations like this, but it's very hard to do so when it's literally slander. You're literally trying to devalue and make Tifa look terrible. That is what is happening here. You're not creating some base take. You're not creating some type of take that is logical. You're doing it out of pure hatred and slander for a character. It's as simple as that for the reason. I don't care what kind of reason you think that you think proves you right. What you're doing is still slander, and you're doing this in the thought process that the devs, Nojima, Nomura created Tifa to be this character. Oh my! I'm sorry. I don't like being frustrated. I like to think about these things on a neutral basis, or like just try to think of all of this stuff without getting too emotional about it. But mischaracterization is one of those things that I really despise so much. And it comes from pure just dislike for a character for your own personal reasons. That's it. It's not thinking about the overall story. It's thinking through your own personal reasons. Personal reasons that you believe that would hurt the perception other fans can have, so that they can join your side, or they could see why you're in the right. To see why your favorite character, your ship, in some selfish reason to be, the proper character that people should be fans of. It's as simple as that. That is the only reason why anyone will ever make a take like this for a character who is literally one of the kindest people in the game. One of the more popular characters in the game. And if you think for 1 second that devs are going to make one of the more popular characters in the game this way, you should probably reevaluate the way you read and look at the story, because it's completely wrong. It just goes back to the way people thought about Tifa being a bully when she was younger. When she was not. She was never a bully. She wasn't like... This is why I really make videos about mischaracterization, because people are going to see that type of mischaracterization, and some people who have never played the game will think, oh, well, that's strange. Why would Tifa ever be something like that? Right? And if they don't play the game, they might, go along with that mischaracterization, and it hurts the character. It hurts it hurts the fans too. It's just like, come on. I get it. You have your favorite character. You want your favorite character to be more in the spotlight. You want to showcase your passion for your favorite character. You want your character to be, seen more popular than the other character, right? Or the ship, the same way. But the thing is, if you do it via a slanderous way, I'm sorry, but you don't care about the characters themselves. You just want to be right, and you will do whatever it takes you want to make to try to get and devalue another character to make sure you are right. It's not about understanding the story. It's not about trying to find something to prove a point about the character in some sort of way that makes them look worse. No, you're doing it for a selfish reason, and that is really it. I'm sorry. I just can't. That's all I'm gonna say on the subject. I hate mischaracterizations most of all, and it just really pisses me off when stuff like that happens. Right? It really does. And I just want you to hopefully understand this. Not once in this video have I ever slandered Aerith. Just think about that. I could have. Some people probably say I should have, but I did not. Because I'm not going to slander another character in response to other people slandering, a character that I enjoy. Because it's pointless to do so. Both characters are amazing. Both characters have their strengths, their weaknesses. But they're both fantastic characters that should be loved and not put up against each other. I'm sorry. I just, oh my god. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Just please understand that this take is awful. It's a bad take. It is possibly one of the worst takes you could ever come up with in any sort of fandom, and whenever you're discussing between two characters, and like trying to depict and devalue a scene that it probably feels like it's threatening your favorite character, your favorite ship. Don't. Celebrate your favorite moments from your ship, from your favorite character. Don't try to devalue it of someone else's. Because it's just that's just being petty at that point. You're just being selfish. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Alright, hopefully I don't have to make another future mischaracterization video. So, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.